with domain names, it is the only piece of digital property you own where you make direct contact with your customer.
So as we look at supply and demand, right? Once a company, since we primarily work with end users, right? Once a company vets a domain as intellectual property, it's often counterintuitive to ever let it go. I mean, once you've acquired a domain or you've acquired a company that has a number of domains, then it's already vetted. And letting it go, I mean, it's just $10 to renew it every year. And it's
risk and reward, yeah.
Well, no, but hold on. You're evaluating that wrong.
Okay,
you've got a great domain name that you've inherited through the acquisition of a company. And yeah, it's easy to say, oh, well, it costs $10 a year to renew. But this is actually exactly the wrong mindset that folks have. It's only going to cost me $10 a year to keep it. No, that's wrong.
Yeah, I know you're going.
You're not taking into account the opportunity cost. You're a company, you're not using this brand. When you come up with a new product or service that you want to launch, yes, sure, it might be easy to go out and use this brand, but it's probably not the exact perfect brand for that new product or service you're going to launch. And the carrying cost of that domain is not $9 or $10 a year. The carrying cost of that domain is the opportunity cost of the capital that you could receive from the sale of the asset. So you're much better off if you got a portfolio, you got a bunch of phenomenal domain names, as many corporations do, sitting in their vaults, as Chris mentioned earlier, which is where many of these domains live. You're better off bringing them to market, getting them in the hands of the best user, right? Further developing the market, creating this more liquid and understood market, because ultimately usage, right? It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Usage is what creates education and understanding, and that's what we need. And so a bunch of these domain names tied up in domain investor portfolios, corporate portfolios. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not a pot calling the kettle black here, right? We are a domain investor as well. We wear many hats. But if you're a corporation, you're not in the speculation business. That's not what your shareholders are owning your stock for.
Yeah.
You have an asset that can be monetized. So if that asset's worth $1 million, let's just use that for easy numbers, your carrying cost of that domain name is not $9 a year. Your cost of that domain name is whatever your company's return on capital is, or is your company leveraged? Are you borrowing money? Well, instead of borrowing that money at whatever X percent you're paying in interest, you're paying that same amount of interest on the $1 million in value that's tied up in that asset that's not being monetized, right? Your company's probably already written this off in terms of accounting purposes through depreciation. It's just dead weight on your books, and you can monetize it, and that's a far better use of the capital than
right.
So I think that's a great evangelistic and an encouragement. However, it sounds like with your off the market hashtag, that's not what you're actually seeing or experiencing. Chris, I didn't mean.
So actually, I guess part of my prophetizing about domain names is working on both ends of that spectrum, right? It's like I believe that domain names have not reached anywhere close to what their full enterprise value should be. I think that the real enterprise value of these names is 5 or 10x what the market recognizes today, maybe even more than that. And so, I'm fighting to create tools and methodologies to help the market, help investors understand what the value of these names could be. And then at the other end of the spectrum, even though, yes, I'm saying I think these domains are going to increase in value. Yes, I think they're very valuable, but they're not valuable if they're just tucked away in a corporate portfolio.
Yeah, that was an important point. That was a very important point.
If you're not using these domains, then it's not creating value because you're not in that business, right? Your shareholders own shares of your company because they expect you to do the business that you're in. They expect a certain return on capital. And if you are borrowing capital particularly, or issuing new stock or issuing bonds, you're better off selling the domain and using that capital because there is a high opportunity cost to carry.
Right.